The one-page plan. All right, a whole bunch of you have walked through this with me, so again, this is not like a 50-slide segment. We're not going to spend a half an hour on this. But even if you've done this once before, in the chat, there should be the link to your one-page plan. And if you can, print it off, print it off. If you can't, it's a fillable PDF, so we're good. Just keep in mind, plans are useless. They really are, but planning is vital. And that's why I say it's worth going over this one more time, second time, third time, fourth time. It doesn't hurt. Because the other thing you're doing, especially if you're writing it down, if you're putting pen to paper and you're doing this thing a second or a third time with us, is you're just imprinting it in your brain that much more thoroughly. These are my numbers. These are my goals. So the plan, right? Do I have a plan? If not, why not? If yes, is it one page? If longer, why? Why? You don't need a long plan. Drill it down, says the guy with 360 slides to present today. But less is more. Believe it or not, I do say that to myself often. Less is more. So when I started in this business and I put my first plan together, it was this one-page plan is born out of about an 11-page booklet. But I distilled it down to this one page. And my income goal at that time was $160,000. I knew if I could make $160,000, my life would be perfect. Everything would be amazing. It would fix all of the money problems I had in my life. I knew my net commission was stronger than 2,000. It was actually about 2,600, but I wrote down 2,000 because I sandbagged. Always sandbag, right? Under expect on the revenue, over expect on the expenses. So I thought, okay, I've got to close 80 files, which is an average of 7 files per month. That's where I'm at. Then I walked through the calendar and I said, where am I going to actually manage to close these files? Well, I've only got a couple in the pipe here, 3, 4. I'm going to work my way up to this 7, but in Q1, I'm really only going to have closed 9. But I'm going to keep working my way through. I'm going to hit 24. By the end of the year, I'm going to wind up where I need to be. And here's what actually happened. September. I did this in January. 9 months later in September, I hit my number. And that was in my first full calendar year in the business. And my wife at the time told me never to repeat what I said to a group of rookies in a conference room in September of that year when I hit my target. But I'm going to repeat it one more time, just for you. It's the reality, all right? I was asked, as my phone was vibrating and buzzing and chirping away, because things were happening. Like, it was popping off. I think I closed that year out with just under 100 files. It was phenomenal. And I was asked, well, how did you make this happen? And I can sum it up quite easily. It's really real simple. It's as easy as this. Never say no to anyone in your life except for friends and family. No, I can't do dinner tonight. No, I can't make it to the hockey game. No, I can't go for a ride this weekend. No, I can't meet you at the pub. No, 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 no. Why? Because you're in your office, you're making calls, you're working on scripts, you're massaging your database, you're planning, you're strategizing, you're dialing, you're working on files, you're asking questions about a file you're trying to get across the finish line. I mean, that was the year that I had that file that it took me 9 lenders to get an approval for. 9. I mean, holding on to that client, talking him through 8 declines because I wasn't smart enough to not tell him every time he was being declined. So I shared all 8 rejections with him. This was not somebody accustomed to rejection. He was really struggling with it, but he stuck with me and we got through it. So it was an intense year of 70, 80, 90-hour work weeks. It was, but it got me where I needed to be. That's the cold, hard truth. That's the cold, hard truth of this worksheet. Now, the other reality of this is 2 applications are going to get you 1 funded file. So you need 160. You need double the number of applications for the target number of files. And 2 warm referrals are going to get you 1 application. That's the reality of it. So you actually need 4 warm referrals to get the 2 applications to get the 1 funded file. That's the reality. And these days, I think you need to make 20 outbound calls, not 10, to actually make that happen. And that starts to sound a little crazy. Holy cow, if I want to close 80 files, I got to make 3,200 outbound phone calls? That's impossible. at least one of you just thought that, and of course, you're completely wrong. It's not. But remember this formula because it is very true. 4 warm referrals. Hey, Rob, Carrie told me to call you about a mortgage, right? Like that's a warm referral, right? That's a warm referral. That's what that is. 4 warm leads equal 2 applications, and you're only going to fund half those applications. That's the approximate math that almost every experienced broker will realize. And here's the good news. 3,200 divided by 220 equals 15. That's it. 15 calls per day. That is not the end of the world. Now, I realize that's a lot like asking some people to do 15 chin-ups every morning. And chin-ups suck, just like calls. But chin-ups or push-ups, probably both good analogies, you know, they get a lot easier the more you do them. The more often you do them, the more you'll be able to do in a row, and you won't break as big a sweat. So the key, it really is having warm referrals coming your way, which in the early days doesn't just happen magically. You got to make that happen. You got to make calls. So do you understand the one action required for success? Do you understand that one thing you've got to focus on every single day? And if you fade from focusing on that, your volume will fade as well. Now again, in the next couple of days, we're going to talk to a lot more experienced brokers, although I know there's a lot of you on the call now, and I get people who are at 50 million, 70 million, 90 million saying, oh, geez, like, I don't know, like, I don't make any outbound calls at all. I think I'm failing. No, you're not. No, you're not. You receive warm referrals like crazy. You're good. You're good, right? Insert standard line here. If your phone's not ringing, you need to make someone else's phone ring. But if your phone's ringing, you're good. You're good. But is it ringing? Right now, not everybody's phone is ringing. Not quite the way they'd like it to be. So again, clarity of thought. Do I do this thing, this one thing I need to do daily? And ask yourself, if you're not, why not? Why not? A few other questions to ask yourself here. A little bit of a laundry list. Do I have the plan? If not, why not? If yes, is it one page? If it's longer, why? Why is my plan longer than one page? Because it all boils down to one action only. And am I taking that one action every single day? And if not, why not?